My first guest is Dr. Tim Roberts, who's an ophthalmologist who's working and doing some incredible work in Myanmar, or Burma, as many people may remember it known as. You're involved in an important programme there. Tell us what you do, actually.
This is a program that we've organised through a group of ophthalmologists in Australia, and the primary focus of this is to take teams of ophthalmologists from Australia over to work in communities that are not serviced by the local ophthalmologists in Burma or Myanmar. We go in, we take equipment, we would set a theatre up, we would train up the local nurses or healthcare workers to get a health program going so that they could identify those in the community that are in need. Particularly cataract is the major impact of blindness in these countries. We would take a team over, train them up, set the theatres up, and then about 9 times a year a team would go over and work for a couple of weeks with the local doctors and nurses operating and seeing as many of the communities we can in the clinic to diagnose their eye problems.
How long are you there when you go?
Most of the programs we would go for a fortnight. Some of the doctors who are able to take more time may go for 4 weeks, which is often to do a lot of the behind-the-scenes administration and organising. But usually 2 weeks, most of us are in busy private practices, and it's hard to take much more time out of your practice as well as also have family time for holidays. So a 2-week program would be the norm.
And for most of the people I know, cataracts is now a relatively small operation with dramatic results.
One of the beauties of cataract surgery, according to the World Health Organisation now, it's probably the most cost-effective major operation done in the world, in the sense that we can take someone who's blind to a half-an-hour operation under local anaesthetic, and within 10 minutes they're often reading a newspaper. It's the equivalent of going over and having an arthritic who's crippled, doing a hip replacement, and then in an hour they're running around the block. So it really has meant that for one of the major causes of health problems in the world, which is blindness, we now have an operation which is so safe and so reproducible, which is ideal in these developing countries.
Look, having been to Myanmar on a number of occasions, I know those people. Tell me, it must be fantastic for some of those people. I mean, what is it like when you see somebody that...
To this day, even in Australia, where medicine is still wonderful, but there are business aspects. You've got to run a practice. But at the end of the day, one of the greatest moments is you do an operation and you literally take the pad off and people can see, and you know, there's just tears of joy. And it's a little bit more pronounced in Myanmar, because particularly in Sydney, people would not go on to blindness due to cataract. They would have their surgery earlier. Yeah. But occasionally I have a lot of patients who from the Middle East, countries like that, Greece, etc. They bring their elderly parents who've come to Australia. They're blind, and I remember this dear woman from Saudi Arabia who took it off and cried, and she nearly broke my ribs, crushed me with this hug, and the family and everyone that's hugged. But it's remarkably rewarding to see people have their sight restored.
Look, I know from the Christian tradition of going in there that there is a sense now in which most of the work is done inside the countries. I suppose this is one area of medical and help that you can bring that can come in from outside very quickly and make a difference.
It can. It's delicate balance in the politics, because these are emerging nations who have a great sense of pride in their country. So to actually infer that they need outside help, one has to be careful so they maintain their autonomy and their sense of dignity as a country. But if you can carefully work through the politics of that, and one of our doctors is a master at that, he's very good at the political level, then we can go in freed up, and the people are enormously receptive to being trained up. These are brilliant doctors. There's no inherent skill superiority in the West. It's just simply we've got the training and the equipment. So these doctors, once you go and train them and provide the equipment, the quality of their work is incredible.
I mean, that's a statement of reality that many people don't often realise. It's often the resources and the accessibility to the equipment, to the resources that make all the difference.
Yeah. And one has to be careful to avoid the sort of paternalism where you tend to think, I know everything I'm going in to teach, rather than hopefully after a 6-month or 12-month or however long, it's 5 years to train in Australia for eye surgery, but once you train these people up, they're peers and they're equivalent in their surgical skills.
Tim Roberts, why do you do it?
Look, a couple of reasons. This is essentially not a primarily Christian program. This is a program we were asked to get involved with purely for the medical side of it. But as a Christian, a couple of things. One is always having this attitude of God's always got something amazing around the corner. Doors open, and when they open, have the courage to walk through. But it's remarkably rewarding. But essentially, I view it as a simple sort of answer to just reading about Jesus saying, you know, when did we feed you? When did we help you? Well, these are the poor of the poor, and in its purest sense, helping others, you know, made in God's image, is incredibly rewarding. And what's intriguing with this program is some of the other programs I've done in Nepal, for instance, were with Christian missionary organisations. I'm just going in as an individual. It's strictly not a Christian. We actually have visas under the Department of Religious Affairs, which is Buddhism. So we would be very careful, or I would, and subtle. But there's wonderful opportunities. You pray that God will just use you as a small jigsaw piece in the jigsaw puzzle. But having opportunities to chat, one of the local doctors, he went to the shrine every day and prayed to Buddha, these huge Buddha statues, and I'd just quietly sit at the back. And then I'd come out and I'd ask him, who are you actually praying to? He said, well, it is my culture, but I do believe I'm praying. So I said, well, who are you praying to? And he said, well, the spirit of Buddha. And then I said, well, are there specific practical things you're asking for? And he would say, no, it's more my, my religion.
But you as a Christian are able to see some good in that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Tim, I'm just grateful that you've taken the opportunity to come in and share that with us. And at Wesley Mission, we're very much into word and deed, so we believe in what you're doing and believe it's so much a part of our Christian faith. Thanks for being here.
Pleasure.